Let me tell you something that's going to sting a little. You're not exhausted because you're doing too much. You're exhausted because you keep pouring your energy into the wrong people. Men who don't see you. Men who don't choose you. Men who only show up when it's convenient for them. And here's the real kicker, and it's not their fault anymore. It's yours, because you keep being kind. What you really need is self-respect. We've been taught that if we're kind enough, patient enough, forgiving enough, they'll finally wake up and treat us right. But newsflash, kindness without boundaries is just self-betrayal dressed up in good manners. This isn't about being rude. This is about being clear. This is about choosing you. Because the moment you stop begging for breadcrumbs is the you start walking like a woman who remembers who the hell she is. You've been taught your whole life that being kind is the key to everything. Be sweet, be understanding, be patient. Don't upset him. Don't ask for too much. Just be nice, and eventually he'll see your worth. That's the lie. That's the trap. Somewhere along the line, you started to believe that if you were just kind enough, he'd finally give you what you needed. He'd step up. He'd commit. He'd treat you the way you deserve to be treated. But here's the truth on kindness is not a currency for love. Being kind doesn't make someone love you, doesn't make them respect you. It doesn't make them stay. You don't earn loyalty through self-sacrifice. You don't win commitment by overextending yourself. You don't gain security by constantly giving more than you get. This isn't about turning cold or becoming heartless. It's about realizing that your value isn't tied to how much you're willing to tolerate. You don't get a trophy for being the most understanding woman in his life. You get depleted. You get taken for granted. You get used. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because you felt it. You've smiled when your heart was breaking. You've nodded while swallowing your truth. You've been generous to a fault. And where did that kindness get you? Exhausted, confused, questioning your own worth while waiting on a text that never comes. It's not that he didn't see your kindness. He did. He just didn't respect it because you didn't either. You kept showing up when he stopped trying. You kept giving chances when he stopped caring. You kept explaining your boundaries instead of enforcing them. And that's the moment your kindness became permission. Permission for him to continue doing the bare minimum. Permission to disregard your needs. Permission to treat you like an option because you kept showing up like he was the only one. Listen closely, and kindness is beautiful, but it must have a backbone. Love without boundaries isn't love. It's people pleasing. And you're not here to please anyone at the expense of yourself. You are not the fixer. You are not the emotional dumping ground. You are not the one who heals him while you fall apart. That's not strength. That's self-neglect. Real kindness starts with you. Real kindness means respecting your own energy enough to walk away when someone isn't matching it. It means not chasing someone who's already shown you they're not emotionally available. It means not answering that late night text just because you miss him. It means not confusing crumbs with a meal. If you're bending over backward just to be treated with basic decency, that's not a relationship. That's a performance, and you deserve better than that. You deserve peace. You deserve consistency. You deserve a love that doesn't require you to beg, explain, or prove your worth every damn day. Stop thinking that if you just do a little more, love a little harder, wait a little longer, he'll finally change. That's not love. That's emotional gambling. And every time you play, you lose a piece of yourself. You want love. Start by giving it to yourself. Start by refusing to confuse effort with value. Start by recognizing that the man who actually deserves you will never put you in a position where you have to wonder if you're enough. You already are. Always have been. But the moment you start treating your kindness like something that has to be earned rather than given freely with respect is the moment everything begins to shift. So no, you don't need to stop being kind. You need to stop being kind to the wrong men. Start being kind to you. That's when the game changes. That's when your power returns. And that's when you stop settling and start living. You want to change your relationships. Start by changing the way you see yourself. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud, and the way you treat yourself sets the standard for how everyone else treats you. People don't rise to meet your potential. They respond to your patterns. They watch how you talk about yourself, how you prioritize your time, you handle disrespect. And then they adjust accordingly. If you constantly put yourself last, they'll believe that's where you belong. Self-respect isn't some abstract concept. It's not about posting quotes on Instagram. It's about action. It's about choices. It's about waking up every day and deciding, I will no longer betray myself just to make someone else comfortable. It's about choosing silence over arguments, distance over chaos, and peace over potential. Think about it. Think, how many times have you lowered your standards just to keep someone? How often have you accepted bare minimum behavior because you were afraid of being alone? That's not love. That's fear. And fear will convince you in places you've outgrown just because they're familiar. Fear will have you justifying disrespect because you don't want to seem too much. Fear will have you clinging to a version of a man that only exists in your head while the real one keeps showing you who he is. And you keep ignoring it. Self-respect is what steps in when fear tries to keep you stuck. It's the voice that says, I'm done explaining why I deserve the basics. It's the inner knowing that says, I will not chase, beg, or prove. Because the moment you start doing those things, you've already handed over your power, and you can't hold on to your dignity and your desperation at the same time. You have to pick one. Let me be clear. When you raise your standards, you're going to lose people. Good. Let them go. Because the right people won't need convincing. The right man won't make you question your worth, won't make you guess his intentions, won't punish you for having needs. He'll meet you where you are, not because you begged, but because you walked in your truth so confidently that he had no choice but to respect it. But that starts with you. You have to be the example. You have to show people how to treat you by treating yourself like someone who matters. That means you don't tolerate passive-aggressive comments. You don't keep accepting apologies without changed behavior. You don't dating potential and ignoring patterns. That version of you, the one who keeps giving people more chances than they deserve, she's done. You teach people how to love you by the way you love yourself. You teach people how to respect you by the boundaries in force, not just the ones you talk about. Saying no without guilt, walking away without explanation, protecting your peace like it's sacred. That's what self-respect looks like. And if someone calls you difficult or cold for doing that, let them. You're not here to be liked. You're here to live in alignment. You're here to build a life that feels good on the inside, not one that just looks good on the outside. Here's what's wild when you start respecting yourself. You actually start seeing people for who they are, not who you wish they could be. You stop holding on to relationships out of habit, and you start choosing connections that are healthy, reciprocal, and real. You stop confusing drama with passion. You stop settling for potential. You start leading with peace, not performance. Because at the end of the day, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you enforce, so enforce it. Respect yourself so loudly that no one around you can ever forget how you expect to be treated. Not with kindness, not with convenience, but with respect. Let me get this straight. Your standards are not too high. Not even close. The problem isn't that you expect too much. The problem is that you've been conditioned to believe you should expect less. You've been told over and over again that if you want love, if you want a relationship, if you want to be chosen, you have to lower your expectations. You have to accept what's given. You have to make do. You have to not be so picky. And guess what? You believed it. You started apologizing for wanting respect, for wanting honesty, for wanting someone who shows up fully and consistently. But here's the truth nobody tells you: your standards are your boundaries disguised as self-love. They are your way of saying, I will not settle for less than I deserve. And you should never, ever apologize for that. If you find yourself explaining why you won't tolerate disrespect, why you won't accept emotional unavailability, or why you won't ignore red flags, stop. Stop apologizing. Stop shrinking yourself to make someone else comfortable. Your standards are not a flaw. They are your strength. Imagine this for a second. What if you stopped apologizing for your standards? What if you stopped feeling guilty for wanting consistency instead of chaos, loyalty instead of games, truth instead of manipulation? What if you owned your worth so completely that anyone who didn't meet your expectations simply didn't make the cut? No explanations needed. How freeing would that be? When you apologize for your standards, you're actually teaching people that it's okay to treat you like a second option. You're telling them that your worth is negotiable, that their effort can be half-hearted, and that you'll accept whatever scraps they throw your way just to avoid conflict. But that's not strength. That's survival mode. And survival mode doesn't create relationships that nourish your soul. It creates relationships that drain your energy. You have to start viewing your standards as non-negotiable, as essential to your well-being. These aren't unreasonable demands. They're the baseline. If someone can't meet them, it's not your job to convince them or fix them. It's your job to walk away. Because the truth is, you don't need to settle for potential. You don't need to hope that one day they'll get better or figure it out. You deserve people who already meet you where you are. Let me be clear, this isn't about being rigid or unloving. It's about being honest. With yourself first and foremost. It's about recognizing that when you make exceptions to your standards, you're putting yourself last. You're allowing your needs to be pushed aside for someone else's comfort. And that's where things get messy. Because when you don't respect your own standards, you start doubting your own value. You start wondering if you're too much or too demanding. You start apologizing for things you should never have to explain. So how do you stop apologizing? It starts with changing your mindset. Start saying, I am worthy of respect and love exactly as I am. Start reminding yourself that your needs are valid and that anyone who can't meet them isn't the right person for you. Start practicing saying no without guilt and yes, only when it feels right. Start surrounding yourself with people who don't make you question your worth, but instead reinforce it every single day. And when someone pushes back, when they say you're too sensitive or too picky, remember this, those are just words designed to manipulate you into lowering your standards. Don't buy it. You are not too much. Your standards are not a problem. The problem is that some people can't handle a woman who knows her worth and demands respect. Your standards are your armor. They protect you from pain, heartbreak, and disappointment. They create space for the love you truly deserve. So stop apologizing for them. Stand tall. Speak clearly. Know that saying no to what doesn't serve you is saying yes to what will. Because when you stop apologizing for your standards, you start attracting people who don't need convincing. You start living a life where respect isn't optional. It's guaranteed. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to defend your feelings. You don't owe anyone a justification for standing up for yourself. This is something so many women forget, or maybe never learned, that silence can be the loudest, most powerful response you have. It's not about shutting down. It's about showing up with your dignity intact and refusing to get pulled into every argument, every fight, every drama that doesn't serve you. Silence is not weakness. It's your secret weapon. Think about it. Go. How often you found yourself trying to reason with someone who doesn't want to listen? How many times have you tried to explain why you're hurt, why you're upset, or why you need more, only to be met with indifference or excuses? It's exhausting, and it's completely unnecessary. When you realize that your energy is precious, you start choosing where to invest it. And sometimes the best way to protect yourself is to say nothing at all. Silence forces people to look in the mirror. It's the pause that creates space for reflection. Something words often fail to do. When you stop reacting, you stop giving people to dictate your emotions. You stop giving them the power to steal your peace. Silence becomes a boundary, a way to say, I'm not engaging with behavior that disrespects me. It's the ultimate power move because it says more than words ever could, and you value yourself enough to walk away from toxicity without needing to explain why. Let me be clear. This doesn't mean you bottle up your feelings or pretend everything is okay. It means you choose your battles wisely. It means you don't waste your breath on people who aren't willing to meet you halfway. It means you reserve your voice for the people in the moments that truly deserve it. And that shift, it changes everything. When you start using silence as a tool, you'll notice something remarkable. People begin to respect you more. They realize you're not someone to be taken lightly or manipulated into chaos. They see that you're not a doormat, not a punching bag, an emotional dumping ground. They start treating you with the respect you silently demand. Because silence makes your boundaries clear without a single word. And here's the thing, silence is also an act of self-care. When you stop trying to fix everything with talk, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and emotional exhaustion. You give your mind, you give your heart the chance to heal, to reset, to find clarity. Sometimes the best thing you can do is simply step back, breathe, and let the noise die down. Because when you're calm and centered, you're unstoppable. Using silence doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're winning on your own terms. It means you're reclaiming your power by refusing to engage in cycles that don't honor your worth. It means you're setting a standard for how you expect to be treated. And if someone can't meet it, you're okay with walking away quietly and confidently. Here's the secret most people won't tell you. Silence can be louder than anger, stronger than confrontation, and more effective than begging for respect. When you hold your peace, you create a space that demands respect without raising your voice. You become the calm in the storm. You become the woman who doesn't have to prove herself to anyone because her actions and her silence say it all. So next time you feel the urge to argue, to explain, or to defend, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself if this moment deserves your energy, because your peace is priceless and you have every right to protect it with silence. The more you do, the more you'll see who really values you and who doesn't. And that clarity, that's everything. Silence isn't just an absence of noise. It's a presence of power. Use it. Own it. And watch how your life changes when you stop speaking to please others and start living to please yourself.